Skummet. Nej, jeg får råber. Rumkinische. Jeg får råber. Yeah, for woman. Alive, bro. Where you dead, million? Det er rummet, det skummet, det bundet, det kommer, det lundet, det jundet, det gummet, det bundet. Men var vi ikke chill der? Nej! Okay. Og vi vil Bible stream her. Shit, en stor bi. Ikke gøre noget færdigt. Jeg kan mærke frygt. Rolig. Så bien væk. Det er en bi.
Tilbud og rabatter. Lige nu kan du finde super deals med op til 30% rabat hos udvalgte partnere hver dag. Download appen og bestil Just Eat nu.
Hvis vi havde en chance og tid til en romance, vil du gøre det igen? Vil du gøre det igen? Er det for meget? For meget? Er det for meget? For meget? Lad os chille på sin vind. Forbliver vil igen. Må jeg gøre den rundt? Eller er det for dumt? Er det for meget? For meget? Er det for meget? For meget? Er det for meget? Fortæl mig, hvad det er galt, og hvordan vores kroppe kunne ændre sig. Jeg vil sige igen undskyld for alt. Rammer byen for fedt og dumt, jeg kan så ser dig igen, du begynder at klage. Ligger i sengen til vores svampe nu. Oplever ikke af dig nu. Kæmper gerne i de kampe nu. Kom lige her, bitch, ned. Vand i træk, sæt dig på mit game. Når du sender den næste tag. I mit hoved er der en af mig, der yeah. Den er elsker, ved du hvad jeg kan gøre nu, yeah. Jeg har aldrig vidst, yeah. Hvis vi havde en chance og tid til romance, vil du gøre det igen? Vil du gøre det igen? Er det for meget? For meget?
Hvad så Hjalte? Velkommen til.
Lad os chille på sin vind. Forbliver væk igen. Når en verden rundt.
Hvad så Hjalte? Ja, for meget. For meget. Ej, jeg tror min yndlingssang det er Den er Sober med Leroy, hvis jeg skulle tage en til. Det er den banger. Det er altid den der tænder en pind til. For meget. Er det meget?
Forstår mit slang og humor. Når dine veninder fortæller, du har været sammen med en, der kuler. Vil du tro mig, hvis jeg sagde, at de løber? Og det er bare et højde, så selv mig en chauffør. Det er ikke bare en du kører, så vi kan flygte ekstra trusser. Og mælker, fjerner hund. Hun kalder mig daddy, jeg er ikke hendes far. Men under gerne er det hendes egne. Bare rolig, vi siger ikke noget til vores venner. Lad os hoppe på et fly, så kan jeg knæppe dig længere.
For meget.
måske huske din alt det, det var sjovt, før jeg fyrer.
Og jeg måske fortryder.
Hvis vi havde en chance og tid til romance, vil du gøre det igen? Vil du gøre det igen? Alt for meget, for meget, alt for meget, for meget.
Hvor mange chips har for meget egentlig?
Lad os chille.
Hvor synd. Hvis den ikke har 300, ikke? Så er jeg skuffet. Jeg er skuffet. I alle sammen siger for meget banger. I don't give a shit, hvis shit kommer for meget. Sønderborg har mere for meget, jeg vil. Er det for meget? Det er ikke engang 300. What the fuck? For meget en banger. Det er ikke for meget mere end engelsk væk, ikke? What the fuck? Okay, vi giver bare 2 mere. Nej, jeg er bro. Jeg er. Hvor mange så? Må du lytte til for meget en time? Ja, det går sindssygt. Så lyst til det for meget igen bag. Ikke den her gang. Vi forbereder os. Så er der en dag, hvor jeg hørte for meget i en time. Det var sådan, reload. Det gør vi en dag, fam. Det gør vi en dag. Jeg har også sådan en sindssygt stream. For meget. Så var det for meget. Den er også god, men der er også andre bangers på det album der. The butterfly era is over. Now we're working. Now we're crossing the bridge to Tamil.
I better find your love. I better find your love. I better find your heart. I better find your love.
Det ved jeg ikke, bro. Jeg ved ikke, hvad det er.
Jeg har det virkelig sammen med sanger.
At låne naboens kat Anton hjælper lidt. IF hjælper meget. Velkommen til IF Forsikring.
Oh my god, den lagger! Kommer lige om lidt for. Hver dag, baby, jeg er tilbage.
Jeg har min bror, banefrihed. Så kan jeg føle mig tryg, baby tilbage. Jeg er der for os hver dag. Kysk på hinanden.
Og palle på vandet. Rumvæsen og på vinden. Baby tilbage.
Jeg har venner, der lader som de elsker alt det, jeg laver, altså alting, Jeg har venner, der siger ingenting, Hvad fuck skal jeg gøre, Er det mig, der bliver skør for?
Baby, jeg er tilbage.
Min familiemedlemmer, I er dem, jeg glemmer, for jeg ved, hvem jeg er, Hvad med jer?
Baby, jeg er tilbage.
Så jeg gør mig hurtigt. Ja, baby, jeg er tilbage. Jeg er tilbage. Baby, jeg er tilbage. Baby, jeg er tilbage. Baby, jeg er tilbage.
Hver dag.
Hver dag.
Baby, jeg er tilbage. Og så er det til Ice Pop. Det er godt, hvad han siger. Det er godt, hvad han siger.
Det var vores sang. Jeg er ikke forbudt, så og vi solgte den for 10 millioner. Så det skulle være vores sang.
Det skulle være Ludvigs for det track.
Shout out til teamet. Shout out til
Pjuska!
Shout out til jer seere derude. Patty har, han er her. Patty har, fem puller op. Let's go, bitches. Ice pop, flavor. Giv mig det tilbage, som lidt gammel dag. Ice pop, flavor. Kan ikke finde, hvis du er på sukkerkage. Ice pop, flavor. Giv mig det tilbage, som lidt gammel dag. Ice pop, flavor. Kan ikke finde, hvis du er
Hvad så, Simon? Ja, det er lidt tryharder.
Jeg ved, du derhjemme og venter på mig. Tænker på ting, der kun kommer til at såre dig.
Cheesy, vær god ved dig selv.
Den her sang går til Tamo. Hvordan kunne dit hjerte hele allerede?
Meget god reklame, ja.
Mit blod stadig. Og du nogensinde forestille dig mig lave ballade. Alle de minder bliver skarpt. Bedre fast i mit hjerte. Altid gemt i mit hjerte. Hvordan kan dit hjerte hele allerede? Jeg er et spøgelse, der flyver alene. I stalker min scene. Jeg er ikke blive. Og jeg elsker dig sgu Stine. Jeg håber, I har det godt. Uanset hvad.
Det er Signe, fam.
Jeg er sgu stolt. For jeg gør det nok. Hey. Og jeg gør det flot. Hey. Jeg gør det flot. Men der er brug for mig, sagde jeg sidst. Fuck hvad der skal kærlighed kommer og går. Det var del af det var sidste år. Og I svigtede mig. I svigtede mig. Og mit hjerte bløder stadig. Hvordan kunne dit hjerte hele allerede? Mit bløder stadig. Kunne du nogensinde forestille dig mig lave ballade? Alle de minder vi har skabt hedder fast i mit hjerte. Altid gemt i mit hjerte. Hvordan kan dit hjerte hele allerede? Det bløder stadig.
Ja. Åh, så den 600 på Jonas Smileys. Penge skal på Jonas senge. På alle de senge. Jeg køber Jonas senge. På alle de senge.
I'm a nigga sculpture in a house show. Don't trip on me. I don't want to see the same bitch and hoes. Can't relate to my squad and my bros. I'm a nigga sculpture in a house show. Don't trip on me. I don't want to see the same bitches and hoes. Can't relate to my squad and my bros. I'm a nigga sculpture in the house show. Send a nigga hjerter og smileys, og vi boller med Billie Eilish.
Der er ikke noget fisk med bedre Therese. 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 Der er ikke noget fisk med bedre Therese.
Send en nigga hjerter og smileys, og vi boller med Billie Eilish. For han er farlig, for han boller med Billie Eilish. Send en nigga hjerter og smileys, og vi boller med Billie Eilish.
Yeah.
Og vi har boller med Billie Eilish. Så sender nigga hjerter og smileys, så de vil det sige. Og ellers er du til grin. Men det føles som crack, og det er et lifehack. Og hvis ikke du synes, så er du whack.
Vil du have en mærketøj, så må hun bare beminde dig. Vil du have en mærketøj, så må hun bare beminde dig. Vil du have en mærketøj, så må hun bare beminde dig. Vil du have en mærketøj, så må hun bare beminde dig.
Og man nigga sculpture in the house shop. Venter på flex, jeg kommer for sent, hvor de har sex. Og så er der med hobby, musik er hans hobby. Hvis jeg boller hende i det lobby, og giver hende det doggy, så går hun igen. Hun var så kun en ven. Send hende hjerter og smileys, og vi var der også. Og det var billigt, for det var med Billie Eilish.
Der er ikke noget fisk med bedre Therese. 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 Der er ikke noget fisk med bedre Therese.
Whack ass spørgsmål, what the fuck?
Passenger, pass coffee. Let's go, baby.
Here we go.
Steak og bearnaise. Steak af oksefilet tilberedt sous vide.
Hvad så, Valde? Hey, velkommen til.
himlen. Og med Spanisk ryger has. Skruer mor på Brøndby og let det gå, ligesom David Vass. Så er der glad for skole for Katrine og Mads. De har mistet deres danske pas. Rører en cigaret med Lasse fra min tabuklasse. I har en flaske vand. Sådan. I wanna kiss that bottle, kiss that bottle, kiss that bottle, kiss that bottle, bottle flip, kiss that bottle, kiss that bottle, kiss that bottle, bottle flip, kiss that bottle flip. Du vil være der vores champ, men så må du gå til det camp. Det var min der vores, men så må du slås. Der er der vores 1-12. Tror ikke du kan vinde, for vi er kold. Og så er der Lasse fra min klasse. Vi har en flaske vand, sådan. I wanna kiss that bottle, kiss that bottle, kiss that bottle, kiss that bottle, bottle flip, kiss that bottle, kiss that bottle, kiss that bottle, bottle flip, kiss that bottle, flip. I wanna kiss that bottle, kiss that bottle, kiss that bottle, kiss that bottle, bottle flip, kiss that bottle, kiss that bottle, kiss that bottle, bottle flip, kiss that bottle, flip.
Og så starter jeg mit vers, altså når jeg synger mit vers, ikke? Så gør du ud.
Vent! Vi venter, okay. Vi filmer. 3, 2, 1, nu.
Jeg er født i klubben. Bagger mig fulde. Ikke kæmper maxi, jeg er ikke fedt mål. Jeg vil gerne være high every night. På mit damper med CVB. Hey, jeg vil have det til at ske. På mit damper. Jeg køber lamper. Og jeg napper. En ostehamser. Nu er hun følge. Gæld det på min kugle. Slip det dig. Make my day. Jeg går hjem. Lille går og køber lamper. Til lamper. Jeg får lamper. Alle lamper. Jeg damper på mine lamper. Mine lamper bliver fulde af damper. Dampe, dampe, damp. 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 Jeg går hjem. Lille går og køber lamper. Til lamper. Jeg får kramper. Alle damper. Jeg damper på mine damper. Mine damper bliver fulde af damper. Dampe, dampe, damp.
Skal vi se noget katte i dag?
Fulde af damper. Dampe, dampe, damp. Fulde af damper. Dampe, dampe, damp. Fulde af damper. Dampe, dampe, damp.
Jeg lover jer for, at det er lidt crazy. Det er en crazy koncert.
Hej alle sammen, I'm back. Troede lige I kunne slippe af med mig, men det kunne I ikke. I dag vil jeg lave en Kalle Reeds comments. Yay!
Elsker du Monster?
Ja. Jeg elsker det.
Du ligner en på Harry Potter.
Det gør du selv.
Tror du virkelig, du har det, der skal til for at være med i den her YouTube-kanal?
Ja. Alle kan, så hvorfor kan jeg ikke?
Er du homo?
Nej, jeg er til vagina.
Får du meget pik?
Nej, jeg er jomfru.
Giver du meget pik?
Nej.
Tror du virkelig, du er rigtig mand? Du er lidt ventøs.
Tal for dig selv.
Du har ligget hårdt din mor.
Tal for dig selv.
Den har langt over.
Du ligner en, der kunne komme sammen med ham, der Lasse.
Ad, hvor er du ulækker.
Vagina
Det er lige så bare kommentarer for ham.
Jeg tror, du godt kan lide diller.
Vagina.
Kunne du godt finde på at fat til ens mor?
Jak.
Bacon eller Nutella?
Nutella.
Kunne du godt finde på at æde et helt glas chokoladeis? Eller bade i vaniljeis?
Et helt glas chokoladeis.
Går du med underbukser på hovedet?
Nej.
Du ligner lidt en homoseksuel.
Tal for dig selv.
Kan du stave?
Ja.
Hvad vil du gøre, hvis Rasmus kom tilbage til kanalen?
Ballemøs.
Thank you for watching, guys. Der kommer meget snart flere videoer med jer, så lad være med at blive skuffet. Bye bye. Bonjour guys, I'm back, og i dag vil jeg læse nogle kommentarer. Kan du lide Lexikon? Jeps, jeg elsker det. Jeg vil med bare den søde. Jeg vil med den sødme.
Hvad synes du er bedst? Sikkerhedsmusik eller lærermusik?
Det kan jeg ikke svare på.
Drikker du sådan alkohol nogle gange, eller er du tøs?
Stort set ikke, men kun til særlige lejligheder.
Jeg så dig på gaden.
Gør du det?
Tror du, den her video bliver bedre end den sidste læserkommentar?
Det ved jeg faktisk ikke før.
Har du fået nye briller?
Det vil jeg ikke sige, de har været nye længe.
En sort mand eller en hvid dame?
Det er svært. Jeg kan ikke beslutte mig. Fuck it.
Tyggegummi-shot eller vandmelon-shot?
Vandmelon.
Er du stadigvæk jomfru?
Ja. Og stolt af det.
Hvad vil du gøre, hvis du mister dit møde til Poulsen?
Ad.
Hvad vil du gøre, hvis du mister dit møde til Rasmus?
Dobbelt ad.
Hvad vil du gøre, hvis Rasmus mister dit møde til Poulsen?
Ja, det så skal det er der til at værke. Det lakker det helt om.
Så vil jeg bare tænke, hihihi, godt det ikke er mig.
Vil du helst have et glas kakao eller et glas Oxycontin?
Dammit, jeg kan ikke beslutte mig.
Er du til vanilje eller chokoladeis?
Both.
Er du til pistache eller lakrids?
Jeg vil nok mere sige lakrids, for jeg spiser ikke pistache særlig ofte.
Har du crush på nogen?
Nej.
Får du til den morgenboner?
Det er så bare kommentarer for ham.
Everybody does.
Kunne du godt tænke dig at være med i Paradise eller for lækker til love?
Ja, hvis jeg blev betalt en milliard, hvis jeg blev betalt så mange penge, at jeg ikke behøvede at arbejde, så måske er det en joke.
Kunne du godt finde Fie, eller du klippe med Hamza?
None of them.
Kan du godt lide Julie Kobia? Jeg kan ikke lide hende, men kan du lide hende?
Yeah, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but it's enough for me.
Hvem synes du, der passer bedst til kanal? Ludvig eller Ben?
Klart Ben.
Synes du, Ludvig skal være med i flere videoer, eller skal Markus være med i flere videoer?
Ludvig.
Rigtig pik eller dildo?
Jeg er ikke til det kunstige. Og Ben, hvis du ser med her nu, vi taler om dig. Au revoir, guys.
Jeg ved godt, det skrev. Jeg tror, at det skrev. Løb her. Løb mere kalde. Adkalde. Og de gik der klassesamfald, det er det sjove ved det.
Wagwan alle sammen. Jeg har fået læst flere comments. Bring it on.
Savner du Rasmus? Den er faktisk for Markus.
No, I don't.
Hvor er dine briller henne?
Jeg valgte at tage den af, for jeg synes, jeg ser mere presentable ud.
Savner du Christian, siden du ikke gider lave video med ham mere?
Ikke rigtigt.
Savner du Christian Poulsen?
Nej.
Skal du ikke snart træne, du vil tage lidt på?
Gider du lige?
Jeg læser bare.
Jeg har brugt et halvt år på at få den her body.
Hvad er din hemmelighed til at få langt hår?
Ja, det er, at at massere hårrødderne i olie, og lade det sidde i lidt tid, og så vaske det ud igen.
Er du sat til vagina?
Yep.
Kunne du godt Markus, hvis han havde en vagina?
Normalt er jeg ikke til females, men okay.
Kunne du godt en monster lige nu?
Ja.
Jeg synes, at Ben skal date. Anna eller Annie?
Tja. Ikke. Both, ja.
Hvad vil du gøre, hvis Valdemar kom her og sagde, du...
Det var ikke dig, Valde.
Så vil jeg bare sige, haha, det gør du også.
Coca-Cola eller Pepsi?
Both.
En iste eller en Free Free?
Both.
Kan du sige andet end both?
Ja.
Det er så ikke rigtig godt der.
Skal du ikke lave en IQ-test på et tidspunkt? Du virker ikke særlig klog.
Ja.
Kan du sige andet end yeah?
Ja.
Har du OCD?
Nej.
Har du Tourette?
Nej. Fuck.
Skal du ikke snart lave en ny sang?
Tja, okay, så I vil gerne høre mig synge?
Er du sådan en Nicki Minaj eller Cardi B-fan?
Tja, jeg vil nok læse Nicki Minaj. Jeg har ikke lyttet særlig meget til Cardi B. Selvom jeg er ikke noget imod hende.
Tror du godt, at Salim og Christian kan teste sig og Logan?
Det var ellers noget, jeg havde på i der familiesejl.
Det er virkelig hårdt. Arrivederci, putas.
Næste.
UC 5G internet med nem installation og ubegrænset data.
Hello guys, jeg er her for at read nogle comments. What you got for me, bring it on.
Er du stadig på kur?
Ja.
Jeg så dig i Bilka. Hvad lavede du der?
Trimmede hylder.
Hvad tænker du, din fremtid bringer dig?
Førtidspension all the way, because I don't want to work.
Hvad vil du gøre, hvis Ashbjørn havde længere hår end dig?
In his dreams.
Kunne du godt tænke dig, hvad det hedder, af sixpack, men stadigvæk spise masser af chips?
Hell yeah.
Er du træt af din kur, på en måde?
Sometimes yeah.
Hvad vil du helst have? Noget asiatisk eller noget sort?
Both. Jeg er til everything.
Også hvide?
Few.
Af alle kaldlæs kommentarer, hvorfor tror du, der bliver bedst?
Who am I to know?
Ja. Er du endelig flyttet hjemmefra?
Ja da. Look at my hood.
Skal du ikke lave en video med Salim på et tidspunkt?
Maybe. I don't know him, so... Jeg kender ham ikke, det er bestemt ikke udelukket.
Vil du ikke lave en sang med XXX Kim Larsen? Det kunne være så fedt.
Ja, det skal vi have næsten.
Ja.
Hvad synes du om XXX Kim Larsens død?
That's tragic. It's making me depressed. Det gør mig depressiv.
Er det rigtigt, at XXX Kim Larsen har et sidste album ingen puls, eller er det bare et mediestunt?
Det var et mediestunt.
Mediestunt.
Ja, det kommer aldrig ud.
Synes du selv, du er god til engelsk, eller tror du stinker?
Ja, jeg vil se mig selv som en, der kan skole engelsk.
Er XXX Kim Larsen død, eller er det bare et mediestunt?
Ja, det er han. Hvor tragisk.
Tror du, den her video bliver bedre end de andre? Den her kaldelæse kommentarer bliver bedre end de andre 3?
Ja. Tak for at watch it. Bye, guys. Okay.
Hvordan er det tilbage?
Great.
Føler du, at Føler du dig glad?
Ja,
Hvad er det værste ved 2020?
pandemien. Nu tak.
Kebab eller kyllingkebab?
Det, gosh, det er en svær decision. Both.
Har du set Air Force?
No.
Fake ass medlem, papak til kern.
Kalkunbacon eller svinebacon?
Both. Det begge er bare så frøden.
Hvordan går det med din træning? Det er jo længe siden, vi har set dig.
Ja, det går vel okay. Ja, I er vel velkomne til at dømme for jer selv. Ja, hvad synes I?
Det svarer vi til næste.
I love it. More than anything.
Panda, isbjørn eller almindelig bjørn?
Chipotle Heat Chicken. En nyhed med kick for en 20'er på Mac'en.
Nå, Kalle. Er du klar til Kalle-læse kommentarer?
Se.
Godt. Lad os starte. Hvor mange sprog kan du?
3 på eller 4.
Hvad for nogle sprog kan du?
Dansk, mit modersmål, engelsk, svensk, prøver at lære spansk.
Super. Kan du sige noget på spansk så?
Hola, me llamo Kalle. Tengo 25 años y soy de Dinamarca. Y ya no puedo
Nogen der var oversat.
español.
Kan du nævne hovedsteder i forskellige lande uden problemer?
Det kan jeg godt, men det...
Just ask me which one.
Jamen lad mig vise det, hvad...
Ja.
Så er det til Kalle-læse kommentarer endnu en gang i år. Ja, det
Det
er
er
tradition
også
her, en hver måned.
Ja, det
Så
er...
jeg tror også, vi er færdige med det. Vi er færdige, we're done.
Så, Ben skriver.
Shut it down. Calorie comments. I don't know. Jeg ser hvad der ellers er, film. Jeg ser hvad der ellers er. Playlister. Jeg tror vi skal gå igennem svampen på et tidspunkt. Måske skal vi også gå igennem helt zonen op. Måske skal vi også kigge igennem... Hvad er der i boksen? Nej, der er kun 3, det kan vi ikke se igennem. Mathias kan vi godt se igennem en dag, og Asmus og Patrick og Rasmus Rellemus. Joe kom med før. Ja. Okay, lad mig se. Lad os se, hvem der kom først. Hele taget ikke, lad os se, om der... Altså, lad os se, om der faktisk kom først. Rigtig først. Og det var... Molly. Men det var nok det første, jeg lavede de her playlister. Jeg lavede de her første, jeg kan huske. Hvordan kan jeg se en elektrik? Så det er sikkert. Hallo. Jo, jeg siger Ericssons playlist. Så det er godt Ericsson content. Nå, der er Ericsson, der spiller guitar. Jeg siger det bare. Okay, det er Ericssons bedste video. Det er Ericssons bedste video. Det er også den her, det var også crazy. Den var også god. Længe siden jeg set den. Ja, den lille forfald. Nu må lige finde en. Ja, jeg elsker bare at spille Ludo. Jeg var så super. Kamera var hård. Kamera er en banger. Det går godt. For i livet. Spørg Jesper, det skal se.
Sunset Boulevard præsenterer Steak og Banæs er tilbage. En burger med steak af oksefilet tilberedt.
Jeg sværger, det er sjov.
Rigtig sauce. Nyd den i vores restauranter. Ikke som takeaway. Kun på Sunset Boulevard.
nummer.
Spørg Jesper.
Jeg bliver rigtig bange. Hvor er Eriksen henne? Eriksen, hvor er du været henne?
Spørg Jesper.
Hvem er du? Hvad vil du her?
Spørg Jesper.
Jeg skal gå på købe en Mega Monster.
Spørg Jesper.
Eriksen, jeg har fået en kæreste. Hvad hedder du?
Spørg Jesper.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Nu kommer vi. Jesper! Jesper! Hvor fuck er Jesper hen?
Spørg Jesper.
Hej alle sammen, og velkommen til den her video.
Damn! Crazy type shit, that meme. Den burde nok have været på sækken.
Skal vi have en jellybean? Ja, det er jellybean til Christians interview. Hej alle sammen, og velkommen til. Jeg har...
Alle sammen. Vi er på bakken igen. Helsmok. Omvendt.
Inshallah, så det er på bakken. Jeg venter så det.
Han tog Blue Hawaii og Viking Berry. Vi løber fra en kæmpe vits. Importeret fra Amerika. Okay, det var ikke stå.
Ja, kom nu så der på bakken. Lad os den snak. Lad os hygge på bakken igen, soft ice. Jesper. Lad os se. Der er nogle bangers på min main. Messi. Det er nu heller ikke, kan jeg se.
Lionel Messi just won the Ballon d'Or for the 8th time in his career. Everybody says they don't care about the award until the winner is announced and everyone is talking about it again.
2023 Ballon d'Or France footballer is Lionel Messi.
Messi is one of, if not the greatest ever, but a lot of fans, not just CR7 fanboys, feel as if not all of his 8 Ballon d'Ors he's actually deserved. So let's look at every time Messi won the Ballon d'Or and find out if he was really the deserving winner. To do this, first you need to establish the Ballon d'Or criteria. Fans argue that the criteria changes every year. People will ask the question, is it about what you've won, or is it about who had the best stats? The truth is, it's a combination of both. It is voted for by journalists, coaches and players from all across the world. So in order to crown a world's best player, the Ballon d'Or typically focuses on these 3 things: individual performance, team success and statistical output. It's important to understand that every voter is different. There is no order for what's most important. Some voters prefer team success, others prefer individual performance. It's also worth adding in regards to team success, Most of the time, the Champions League is considered the biggest honour, but in years where major international tournaments take place, they take priority. Let's start with Messi's first Ballon d'Or win in 2009. It was the first year of Pep Guardiola and Barca won everything. They became the first Spanish team to win the treble. They became the first team in history to win the sextuple, winning 6 of a possible 6 trophies that year. Messi scored 41 goals. He had the best stats, he won the most trophies, he scored in the Champions League final. This here was a no-brainer. Messi was clearly the winner and deserved to win his first Ballon d'Or in 2009. In 2010, Messi won the Ballon d'Or again, possibly the most controversial of his career. He even stated in his speech that he didn't expect to win. So why is the 2010 Ballon d'Or so controversial? Well, Messi had a great year individually. He was the world's best player and put up even better stats than he did the season before. However, he didn't win any of the major trophies that season, the World Cup or the Champions League. So how did he win? Messi's competitors for the award was Wesley Sneijder and fellow Barcelona teammates Xavi and Iniesta. Sneijder won the treble with Inter Milan. He was one of the standout players at the World Cup, finishing joint top scorer and ranked second in player of the tournament. For Sneijder, he had a great season collectively, and individually, he was a key player for club and country. However, he wasn't the best player in the world or close to it. You could argue he wasn't the best player for club or country. So for Sneijder to win the Ballon d'Or, he'd have had to have had the perfect season. He came close, and had he won the World Cup, he'd have likely won the tournament's Golden Ball award also, which would have strengthened his case for the Ballon d'Or. Unfortunately, he did neither. Spain beat the Netherlands in the World Cup final, eliminating Sneijder from contention, which put Spanish players in the conversation. Now, giving it to a Spanish player was complicated because they were a team full of stars with no standout superstar above everyone else. For example, in 2022, if you were to give the award to the best player on the World Cup winning team, everybody would pick Messi, because he was clearly Argentina's best player. But the best player on Spain's 2010 World Cup winning team was debatable. Some would say Casillas, some would say David Villa, but most people would pick one of Xavi or Iniesta. 2 players who come as a package in one. Nobody, not even Barca fans, like to compare them, but this time they had to. And the problem with these 2 candidates is because they played for the same teams, they both accomplished the same things. Because they're midfielders, their goal scoring and assist stats aren't anything too crazy, so putting one above the other was challenging. And because Xavi and Iniesta were so hard to separate, when it came to Ballon d'Or voting, they ended up splitting votes from voters who put more emphasis on team success. Iniesta received 17% of votes and Xavi received 16%. So had they not shared each other's votes, and there was one single candidate, then one of them would have easily beaten out Messi, who received just 22% of votes. Messi, despite a disappointing World Cup performance, had a historic season statistically. So for the voters who favour stats over team success, he was the only serious candidate. And because of this, he narrowly beat out his club teammates to win the award. A very important detail to remember is that in 2010, scoring 60 goals in a year was not normal. This was before Messi and Ronaldo made it normal to score 60 goals. So at the time when Messi did it, it was the most goals scored in a calendar year in over a decade, which made that statistical feat a bigger deal back then than it would be now. Iniesta was probably the deserving winner. I think his World Cup final win tips him over the edge, and the magazine actually publicly apologised to him for never awarding him a Ballon d'Or. Messi was a strong candidate. He was the world's best player in 2010 individually and was also undeniably Barca's best player, which does matter when the other candidates play for that same team. So saying Messi was completely undeserving would be unfair. It was a close year, and with no clear-cut candidate and all the other factors that went into it, even if Iniesta should have won, it makes sense why Messi won. But there's no denying he benefited the most from the unique circumstances we mentioned. I mean, come on, when have we ever seen 3 players from not just the same team? He produced some of the greatest performances in best 2 goal scorers in Europe this season, and it wouldn't even be half of what Messi accomplished by himself in this year. Cristiano Ronaldo, the top goal scorer in football history, the most he ever managed in a calendar year was 69. Even Messi never reached 70 goals in any other year, so in this case, nothing else matters. Messi unquestionably deserved the Ballon d'Or, which was his 4th in a row, and regardless of any of the other factors, no player in football history has ever played at a higher level individually than Lionel Messi did in 2012. The next time Messi won the Ballon d'Or was in 2015, the first year of MSN. The iconic trio led Barcelona to the European treble again. Suarez and Neymar were both outstanding, but Messi was just a level above. He scored 52 goals, had 26 assists, and produced some of the greatest moments of his career in big games. The impossible goal against Bilbao in the Copa del Rey final. And you've all seen what he did to Jerome Boateng in the semi-final of the Champions League. Messi also led Argentina to the Copa America final. They lost to Chile on penalties. He won the Spanish and UEFA Super Cup. Cristiano Ronaldo, who finished second, had a great year, but didn't win anything with Barca winning the treble. So Messi won his 5th Ballon d'Or, deservingly so. So far, 4 of Messi's 5 wins he unquestionably deserved. But the next 3 are a little bit more controversial. The 2019 Ballon d'Or was a very close one. The 2 candidates were Lionel Messi and Virgil van Dijk. Now Messi in 2019 individually was the most complete he'd ever been. He had everything and almost, keyword almost, single-handedly carried Barcelona to another historic treble and invincible season. Barca cruised their way to the La Liga title. They never lost a game until after they'd already become champions. And guess who wasn't playing in that one game they lost all season? This was the year Barca famously bottled a 3-goal lead at Anfield and gifted the Champions League trophy to Liverpool. Because let's be honest, Barca-Liverpool was the real Champions League final. Both Liverpool and Barca were always going to make light work of Spurs and Ajax in the final. Barca also ended up losing the Copa del Rey final to Valencia. So although Messi had one of his greatest seasons individually, they slipped up when it mattered most, and Messi only had the La Liga title to show for his incredible season. Virgil van Dijk had one of the greatest individual seasons for a defender in recent history. Liverpool won the Champions League. However, they missed out on the Premier League title by fine margins, and then with the national team, Van Dijk also lost the Nations League final to Portugal. Now, had Van Dijk captured either one of those 2 trophies, he'd have definitely won the award. And truth be told, he needed to. We all know these awards favour the attacking players. So as a defender, to win the Ballon d'Or, you have to go above and beyond. Because Virgil van Dijk only won the Champions League, Mo Salah and Sadio Mane were also strong candidates. But like the 2010 Spanish team, Liverpool had no clear-cut best player. Mane and Salah came in at 4th and 5th.
Uden Van Dijk havde vi ikke. Hver gang Van Dijk er væk, ikke? Hvad gør vi? Hvad gør vi? Hvad når Van Dijk er væk, ikke? Du ved, det går i kaos. Angriber sælger billetter. Forsvar vinder titler. Sådan er det.
5th place in Ballon d'Or voting. They combined for over 500 voting points. Messi beat out Van Dijk by just 7 voting points. So once again we have a situation where Virgil's teammates took votes away from him that cost him the award. If you think Virgil van Dijk deserved the Ballon d'Or in 2019, you're not wrong. Voting was very close for a reason. People who voted for Messi voted for the guy they thought was the best player in 2019 individually. And let's not forget, Messi was dropping 10 out of 10 masterclasses week in, week out. And just like in 2010, Messi was fortunate to benefit from the unique circumstances, such as the fact that Liverpool's best player was up for debate, and because Van Dijk is a defender, a position that statistics don't really do justice. That being said, if I had to pick a winner between the 2, I would have picked Virgil van Dijk. But who am I to say, because Virgil van Dijk himself said that Messi should have won it. Now Messi's next Ballon d'Or in 2021 is arguably the most controversial in football history, and a big reason for that is how poorly the award was handled by France Football. So Lionel Messi didn't win the La Liga or Champions League with Barca. However,
as Vegeta stated in episode 129 of Dragon Ball Super, with the brief amount of time they were given to combat the other universes, it was the Saiyans who had the most limit-breaking displays of power, accessing new forms, growing stronger by the minute, and even undergoing character development. Careful, it was one of these Saiyans whose power actually posed a legitimate threat to Universe 7, going from speed blitzing God Goku to possessing enough power to one-shot Ultra Instinct Omen 2 Goku. Goku was only able to defeat Jiren due to gaining a brief mastery over Ultra Instinct and taking Whis' teachings to heart. But what if Goku didn't bet at all on Ultra Instinct? What if he and Vegeta fused against Jiren in the Tournament of Power and instead relied on the power of the incomparable and ultimate fusion, Vegeta? We'll be taking Goku and Vegeta from episode 127, though if we're being absolutely honest, the exact point in time doesn't really matter for this hypothetical matchup. It could be before the Saiyans and Android 17 team up to fight against Jiren, or after Android 17 seemingly sacrifices himself to buy Goku and Vegeta time to recover. We'll be going over two scenarios involving a hypothetical Tournament of Power Vegito vs Jiren, with the first involving a Vegito that has no time limit, and the second involving Vegito with a time limit. In order to understand how strong Vegito is, we need to go over Goku and Vegeta's power growth during the Tournament of Power, specifically from episode 97 to 127. This is obviously because both Goku and Vegeta make up Vegito, and their combined power results in Vegito's base power, depending on how you interpret the Vatora Fusion Multiplier, which we'll be going over. Without further ado, let's get into the video, starting off with scaling Goku. But before that, let's ask Vegito on if he can beat Jiren. Vegito, are you able to beat Jiren, hypothetically, if you were in the Tournament of Power? Oh, my bad. Let's try Jiren next, then. Jiren, do you think Vegito could beat you if they fuse during the Tournament of Power? Vegito's power is formidable, but he's just a fusion. Really? True strength comes from one's own power, not borrowed power from others. Then that's a diss at the God Ritual. A lot of powers in Dragon Ball is low-key from that. That doesn't mean he won't beat you. Power alone is not everything. Even if Vegito's strength surpasses mine, my pride and discipline will never waver. Alright, I've had enough of this guy. Let's just... With Polybuzz, you can not only speak to created chatbots, but make your own. Feel free to make an event bot. Actually don't. It's a very popular app used by millions of people. If you want to be creative and build your own stories / roleplay with the chatbots like some old texting story videos in Prime YouTube, you didn't watch any of those? Go download Polybuzz. It's free to download. In the link in the description, use my code AVANT55 to unlock the Premium Plus for Polybuzz. As you can see it right here. To unlock the Premium Plus for Polybuzz, all you gotta do is type AVANT55 in the search bar, click search, and boom, you have it. Goku doesn't fight anyone that actually pushes him to grow stronger until episode 109 and 110 of Dragon Ball Super, which involves his first face-off against Jiren. Jiren's mere presence is enough to shake the Null Realm, an isolated place outside of the multiverse that literally has no time or space. If you want to know Dragon Ball world / cosmology building, check out this video. Goku starts off in base and fires a Kamehameha that doesn't even break through Jiren's aura. He has to go Super Saiyan 2 to budge Jiren's neck with a kick. Once he goes Super Saiyan God, he does make Jiren use a finger to block his punches, and those same punches have enough power to destroy the entire Dragon Ball macrocosm, as we saw in Battle of Gods when Goku clashed with Beerus ages ago. You also need to remember that Tournament of Power God Goku is many times stronger than that Battle of Gods Goku, and Jiren is still blocking those punches with just a finger. Goku has to use Super Saiyan Blue to actually move Jiren, but his punches don't even phase the warrior, as the moment he begins to fight back, Goku just gets destroyed. Not even Blue Kaioken is able to do anything to Jiren, who proceeds to just step on him and blast him away. Goku decides to gamble it all on the Spirit Bomb, which is fueled by the energy of Team Universe 7's participants. Goku throws the Spirit Bomb at Jiren, who doesn't even feel the need to use both of his arms until Goku goes blue, and once Goku uses Blue Kaioken times 20, all Jiren does is slightly raise his power, before he proceeds to blink away the Spirit Bomb. The power that Jiren emitted is enough to shock Shin, who states that Jiren's power feels unlike anyone they've ever faced before. Mind you, Jiren is still heavily suppressed, and hasn't even begun to show his true power. Shin would know the power of Goku Black, Sword of Hope Trunks, Merge Zamasu, and Black Arc Vegito Blue, and these fighters aren't even in the discussion when compared to Jiren's power. Goku falls into the Spirit Bomb, and is forced to adapt, or else he'll be killed, and uses the energy of the Spirit Bomb as fuel, which in turn triggers his limit-breaking form to surface, Ultra Instinct Omen. Since this is the first time Goku has used Ultra Instinct Omen, I'll be referring to it as Ultra Instinct Omen 1 for the sake of scaling. Ultra Instinct Omen 1 Goku is able to do better against Jiren than he's ever done before, obviously. But the form doesn't last for long. He's able to land a solid blow on Jiren, but before he can follow it up with another attack, the form gives out and his punch is stopped by Jiren, who acknowledges Goku's power, but makes it clear that he's done for now. It's only thanks to Frieza giving up some of his energy to Goku that he's able to continue on fighting in the tournament. There's no way to accurately scale the power of the Spirit Bomb, as it varies in strength depending on the enemy, as Goku doesn't throw it until he absolutely is sure it's strong enough. Jiren was the only exception because he was still holding back his power. You could assume that the Spirit Bomb is anywhere from relative to Blue Kagen times 20 Goku, or a bit stronger, but again, there's no actual way to be sure. All we know is that the difference between Super Saiyan Blue Kagen times 20 and Ultra Instinct Omen as a form is massive, seeing as how Goku went from being unable to touch Jiren to landing a punch, despite having a 20 times multiplier on top of his blue form, which is already 50 times that of regular Super Saiyan God. Goku at this point is heavily fatigued and gets roped into a fight with Kale and Khalifa, and is so tired he can't even use the strongest forms right off the bat. He has to work his way up in order to regain his energy, but it's not as if he needs a form like Blue to fight against Khalifa. Initially in base, he's stronger than Super Saiyan 2 Khalifa, but she begins to adapt to his movements and techniques, especially once Kale jumps into the fight. Goku is then pushed to Super Saiyan 2, and in turn Kale finally learns to control her Berserk form and fights against Goku with Khalifa and continues to push him back. Goku has to eventually use Super Saiyan God to widen the gap completely, and from here both Kale and Khalifa seemingly hit their limit. They go from pressuring Goku to running away and getting tagged, as all Goku needs is a single arm to deal with each fighter. Goku intends to end the fight but commends them for their strength. Before his Kamea wave can knock them out of the ring, Kale and Khalifa fuse using the Torah earrings and turn into Kefla. Base Kefla may not seem like much, but remember it's consistently shown in Dragon Ball that a base fusion has far greater power than both fusees at their strongest, which I'll explain more extensively later on in the video, obviously because of the video. All you need to know is that Khalifa and Kale went from getting destroyed by a fatigued God Goku to becoming Kefla and speed blitzing him in base, whose power shocks both Goku and Vegeta, who's nowhere near the fight. God Goku now has to go all out and use every technique and trick he can think of, but they do nothing to Kefla. She shrugs them off and calls Goku's attacks pitiful, forcing Goku to use Super Saiyan Blue. Kefla powers up into her own version of Super Saiyan, which would still be a 50 times multiplier, even if the form looks different. The fight becomes much more equal, and Goku is actually able to damage Kefla once he transforms into Blue Kagen, but gets caught off guard by a kick from Super Saiyan Kefla that knocks him back down to base. Goku's backed into a corner and forced to adapt, just as he taps back into Ultra Instinct Omen for the second time in the series, and is able to dodge all of Kefla's blasts. Kefla transforms into Super Saiyan 2, making her twice as strong as she was before, but she's not able to keep up with Ultra Instinct Omen 2 Goku's speed and reflexes. Though it's clear that Kefla has the raw power advantage, and Ultra Instinct Omen 2 isn't as strong as it should be. When Goku went Ultra Instinct for the first time,
det ikke før, fordi det bliver lidt for... Jeg har set helt serien, jeg ved ikke, hvad børn
ting. Prior to going Ultra Instinct for the second time, he had
eller One Piece på DF, eller Ramachan, eller hvad kalder man det.
But that had likely been burnt through by episode 116. This is why Ultra Instinct Omen 2 Goku seems a bit weak, as Kefla straight up shrugs off his attacks.
Dragon Ball... Hey. Powerpigerne. Ja, T-Rex elefant, det vil jeg faktisk gerne have fundet ud af.
When you think of the most unstoppable land animals on Earth, your mind probably jumps to one animal, the African elephant, and for good reason. We're talking about the biggest land animal alive today, capable of flipping over cars, snapping down trees, and humbling hippos. So yeah, elephants don't play around. But there's a problem. Nothing alive today can really challenge them. No lions, no rhinos, no animals really even try. They're like kings in a land without rivals. So, if we want to test the elephant's true limits, we have to look in the past, and I mean way back. If we want a real carnivorous challenger, we need to bring out the dinosaurs. Let's start with perhaps the most iconic one, the Tyrannosaurus Rex, the largest land carnivore to ever walk the earth. A creature so terrifying, so legendary, it's basically nature's version of a final boss. The universe basically had to throw an asteroid at it in order to take it down. So yeah, today's video is gonna be insane. We're analyzing analyzing who would win in a fight between an African elephant and a Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Ooh.
This is the largest land animal alive versus the largest land carnivore to ever live. And if y'all think this is some complete stop on either side, then you're wrong. Both the elephant and T-Rex have some tricks up their sleeves that honestly might impress you, and perhaps you didn't even think about. And guess what? The winner really might not be who you'd expect. So you gotta stick around to hear that, so stay locked in. But before we begin, I would appreciate if y'all subscribed, liked this video, and commented what y'all think. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm and would really mean a lot to me. And if we reach 100,000 subscribers, I will do a special video for y'all. Whether it's me doing tug of war against a big cat, testing my strength against the gorillas, or something truly incredible for and it's a bake.
That's over.
The Tyrannosaurus Rex. It's perhaps the most iconic dinosaur of all time. It's in movies, games, books, you name it. It's basically Hollywood royalty at this point. But don't get it twisted. This wasn't some fantasy monster. This thing was very real and was an absolute nightmare for anything breathing during the late Cretaceous in North America. In fact, its scientific name literally translates to the Tyrant Lizard King. And when you have both Tyrant and King in your name, you know this thing was a beast. Okay, let's watch a myth right now. The T-Rex actually had great eyesight despite what films might have you believe. In fact, it had front-facing binocular vision with a field of view similar to a lion or a human. And modern estimates say that they likely had vision similar to a hawk. So pretty solid on the whole seeing aspect. And it had to be. It roamed around the ancient plains of North America with a certain Thanos aura to it. The T-Rex was the apex predator of its region and hunted dangerous armored herbivores like Triceratops, large hadrosaurs like Edmontosaurus, and if it was feeling extra daring, maybe even an Ankylosaurus. But yeah, the Rex was basically built for war. You see, unlike many other theropods, the T-Rex was really robust. It was basically like the strongmen of the carnivorous dinosaurs. And it had to be. It was in a dinosaur arms race. Its prey was getting bulkier, more armored, and more dangerous. I mean, taking down a Triceratops or a large hadrosaur was no easy feat. So it had to adapt a more power-based build as its prey got more armored and durable. But this makes you wonder, just how large was the Tyrannosaurus? Well, recent depictions put the average adult around 12 feet tall at the hip, 40 feet in length, and clocks in between 6 to 8.5 tons. So this was a bus-sized monster. But perhaps you're used to hearing about some of the largest T-Rexes, such as Sue or Scotty, with their weight when fully grown being projected to be about 9 to 11 tons. Oh yeah, and by the way, the reason for their whole weight range is because it really depends on who you ask and how much you scale them to. But yeah, you bet a carnivore of that size would surely put alarm bells up for any herbivore. Well, that's if you aren't a sauropod. Now, part of what makes the T-Rex such a biological anomaly is its strange but effective build. It had long, powerful legs, tiny arms that would honestly make you question if a gorilla could beat it in an arm wrestling match, and a monstrous 5-foot skull. And just for reference, the skull of Sue alone weighed about 600 pounds. That's roughly the weight of a grizzly bear. Yeah, it had a bear-sized head, but are you ready for the twist as to why it would be such a nightmare for an elephant? Despite all that size, the Rex was actually surprisingly very agile. You see, thanks to a combination of low rotational inertia, wide hips, and a digitigrade leg structure, this dinosaur could actually pivot and turn rather great for an animal of its size. That attribute likely came from adapting to outmaneuvering charges from its prey. And just one more thing about the T-Rex. It had great stamina. So while the T-Rex wasn't really the fastest, with current estimates saying it topped out at about 17 miles an hour, it was great at sustained movements. So clearly the Rex was an absolute unit. But now let's talk about its challenger, the African bush elephant. It's the undisputed heavyweight champion of the land animal kingdom. These creatures walk around the savannas like they own the place. And honestly, they do. Once they hit adulthood, they have no natural predators, and pretty much bully other animals around because they simply can. Even hippos don't tempt their fate with an elephant. And by the way, a bull elephant in must is just about one of the scariest animals you can encounter. Yeah, their testosterone increases about 60 times their normal amounts, and have the temperament of Vegeta. And by the way, they don't mind showing off their strength. In fact, elephants are so incredibly powerful that they've been known to easily manhandle cars around, knock over trees, and even toss around rhinos with ease. And just to add to that, a bull African elephant charging at full speed of 7 meters per second is calculated to produce around 147,000 joules of kinetic energy, which by the way is about the same as getting hit by a sedan car going 33 miles an hour. In other words, it would almighty push a human or basically any other land animal in its path. So this begs the question, just how big is the African bush elephant? What is a T-Rex working with? Well, fully grown bulls average around 6 to 7 tons and reach up to 11 feet tall when fully grown. So yeah, that's about approaching the average T-Rex in size, with maybe a little less weight. But now let's talk legends, because the largest recorded African bush elephant weighed in at 10.5 tons and stood 13 feet tall. Yeah, that's about the same size as the largest T-Rexes like Sue. But size is only one aspect. You gotta take into account how these things are built. You see, the elephant skull is crafted like a battering ram. It's thick, dense, and evolved specifically for shock absorption, so perfect for ramming other elephants during fights. And by the way, their skulls can get up to 6 inches thick in certain regions. In fact, the elephant skull is so dense that they've been known to survive rifle bullets and keep charging. And that same bone density and quadrupedal stance also makes them incredibly stable and hard to knock down. But wait, there's more. There's a secret defense mechanism the elephant is packing in its metaphorical trunk, that being its mammalian build. You see, unlike the T-Rex, which had hollow, air-filled bones, elephants have solid mammal bones, making the bones not only more stress-resistant, but also enables them to pack denser muscle and stronger ligaments. Hey, and another perk of being a mammal is superior muscle control and regulation. Elephants would theoretically be able to make more precise movements and just control their power distribution better. And given that they have a more compact build, this may prove troublesome for the average T-Rex, especially noting that there really isn't a huge weight disparity. But structure is only one part of the equation. How these creatures fight and their weaponry arguably plays a more important role in this confrontation. After all, it's a fight. So, how would these two even fight each other? And what are they really bringing to the table? Well, this brings me on to my last point, which is weaponry and fighting IQ. Alright, so when it comes to weaponry and how these creatures fight, no doubt both of them are very powerful. But of course, they are built completely different, and thus it makes this comparison quite interesting. But let's start with the T-Rex, shall we? Nature basically stacked all the Tyrannosaurus's attack points into one massive bone-crunching bite. This thing had a head up to 5 feet long, and it wasn't just big, it was robust, dense, and engineered like a biological hydraulic press. A human would basically be like a protein bar. And yeah, the T-Rex had one of the strongest bites out there. It can chomp down between 8,000 and 12,000 psi. Just for reference, that's between 50 to 80 times stronger than a human's bite. But even though that tips the scales, just how effective was its bite? Well, T-Rex teeth weren't really sharp like a lion's, or fine-edged like a shark's. These were thick, banana-sized teeth that were conical with serrated edges and a reinforced base. In fact, they were actually differentiated, with some parts being better for crunching and other parts being better for tearing. But here's the thing, they weren't made to slice or sink directly into the muscle like a big cat's. They were made to crush, crack, and hold. Basically, kinda similar to a crocodile's bite in effectiveness. This means that the T-Rex would have amazing gripping / crushing power and would use its head to try and manipulate whatever it grabbed onto, such as the frill of the Triceratops, and perhaps try to off-balance their prey by dragging it down or dislocate / sever the bone. And here's the thing, the T-Rex would probably not have great lateral resistance when it grips. So perhaps a large animal sliding its limbs sideways out of the Rex's mouth might have been the move if it wanted to escape. But with that said, it uses bite tactically. In fact, fossil evidence suggests that when T-Rexes fought each other, they aim towards the snout and upper body region, and this carries out when they hunt. Let's not forget, the T-Rex was no stranger to taking on elephant-sized prey, whether it was a Triceratops or facing down a large hadrosaur. But don't get it twisted, those battles were not easy, clean takedowns. They were wars of attrition, so the T-Rex didn't likely sprint into battle expecting a quick kill. It played the long game by chipping away, baiting, and dodging attacks. And remember, thanks to its anatomy, it could pivot, sidestep, and reposition like a heavyweight ballerina. It knew how to move and maintain distance. Now, the T-Rex also could maybe headbutt with its skull, but given the elephant's build, I doubt it would be terribly effective. Oh, and speaking of large animals that love to charge in and fight back, how does an African bush elephant stack up? Well, let's start with with a pretty obvious pro. It's intelligence. Elephants are among the smartest animals on the planet. They have great problem-solving skills, good spatial memory, and can even strategize during confrontations. They can plan and read body language, and in confrontations, that would be a great asset to have. So perhaps the elephant could maybe see more openings and adapt better than the Rex. And I know there was a study that said the T-Rex had a brain that was similar to a baboon's in neuron density, but before you think this thing was solving Rubik's Cubes, let's clarify. A lot of that brain was dedicated to smell and motor control, and likely not for high IQ problem solving. But still, it wasn't some mindless beast. It had the sensory system and coordination to become an apex carnivore. But given how incredibly smart elephants are compared to modern animals, and millions of years of evolution on the dinosaur, the proboscis would likely have the ability to observe, assess, and adjust mid-conflict easier. That's great and everything, but now let's talk weaponry. Elephants support strong ivory tusks that can reach up to 6 feet in length when fully grown. And unlike common belief, their main purpose isn't to gore, but rather to smack and gain leverage / favorable positions. The tusks are basically used as leverage points in fights, along with whacking / hitting their opponents. So perhaps the tusks aren't used to ram like the Triceratops would with its horns, but rather to whack and smack their opponents around. But with that said, for the elephant, it's about control, asserting power, and destabilizing opponents. So maybe if the elephant gets lucky, it could potentially off-balance and make the T-Rex wobble / trip. But that's a big if, because there's a catch. Elephants don't really fight creatures like a T-Rex. Adult males are usually at the top of their ecosystem. Once they're fully grown, nothing really messes with them for obvious reasons. You know, they don't really face any predators that are similar in size. And also, here's one more thing. They have a big blind spot. You see, elephants have eyes on the size of their heads, which means that their front-facing vision is limited. They often have to sway their massive heads in order to keep track what's ahead. And against a predator like a T-Rex, who has great binocular vision, it could be a problem. But is that enough? Could the T-Rex use its bone-crunching bite, raider agility, front-facing vision, and battle-tested instincts to bring down the elephant and get revenge for the dinosaurs? Or could the African elephant use its sturdier frame and greater intelligence to off-balance the Rex, throw it to the ground, and once again show why dinosaurs went extinct? Well, people, I think it's about time we determine a verdict. Alright, we have our stats. So who wins in a fight between an African bush elephant and a Tyrannosaurus Rex? Well, given all the information presented, I would say the T-Rex would win in a fight. I mean, to me, it was kind of obvious from the get-go, but yeah, it won't be a quick victory, okay? But the T-Rex has a lot more going for it. First, it's actually used to attacking and bringing down animals that are about the size of an elephant, right? It faced off against the Triceratops and large hadrosaurs. The elephant, on the other hand, is not used to fighting a predator similar in size. But secondly, I mean, the T-Rex's offense, that being its massive jaws, would be very troublesome for the elephant. Yeah, maybe the elephant could smack around the T-Rex with its tusks maybe a few times, but I don't think it's leaving any crippling wounds. The elephant's best strategy is to run in at the T-Rex and straight up try to go for a tackle, but given that the T-Rex had pretty good agility and dealt with the Triceratops, which basically did that same tactic, yeah, it would sidestep the elephant and probably constantly try to maintain its range, biting at the elephant's head, shoulder, maybe taking out the elephant's ear, making it bleed, and so on, okay? And the elephant would really have a hard time trying to do any meaningful damage to the T-Rex's thick hide and muscle, right? So yeah, the T-Rex could basically take down
Hvad skal vi se? Jeg tror...
Who would win in a fight between an African lion and a silverback gorilla? Well, watch to the end to find out, since this is going to be a very interesting video. First up, we have the male eastern lowland gorilla. This beast mainly lives in Central Africa, in tropical and subtropical rainforests, and eats fruits, plants, and occasionally insects. A typical male silverback gorilla can weigh between 360 to 440 pounds, and is around 5.5 to 6 feet tall when standing upright. When it comes to weapons, Gorillas have a very powerful upper body. Analysis have been conducted and shown that gorillas are between 4 to 9 times stronger than the average human. Also, they have pretty long arms. They have an arm span of around 8 feet long. Just for reference, an average human male's arm span is around 6 feet in length. Gorillas use their long, strong arms to club their opponents and to help assist them in moving around. They also have a pretty powerful bite, which comes to around 1300 psi. Just for reference, that's around double the bite strength of a lion. However, they do have a smaller skull than its opponent, so in order to use its bite, it would have to get really close to the lion, which would put it in an unfavorable position. However, gorillas mainly fight by clubbing and swinging their arms. I would also like to mention that gorillas tend to be overestimated when it comes to fighting. They can't just one-hit a gorilla or lion of similar size. If that were the case, there would be no fighting among other gorillas, since they would just get severely injured after one hit. So, just take into mind that even though gorillas are extremely powerful, they are not invincible, and likely would take a lot more than one hit to take down a lion. As for defense, gorillas have strong muscles and somewhat tough skin. However, it is considered susceptible to sharp objects, like the lion's sharp claws. So, overall, it could take a decent amount of damage from its opponent, but if the fight is prolonged, it would lose a lot of blood and run the risk of bleeding out. As for speed, gorillas on land can run between 20 to 25 miles per hour and is considerably nimble and agile. It also has more stamina compared to its opponents due to its body structure and anatomy. As for intelligence, gorillas slightly edge out the lion in intelligence, but both of these animals are considered very smart, so it likely wouldn't make that much of a difference in this fight scenario. When it comes to fighting knowledge, the gorilla faces off against other members of its own species and the occasional leopard, but it does not face off against other big cats similar in size to the lion, and does not have a predatory instinct since it's herbivorous and doesn't actively hunt. So, overall, it would have a decent amount of fighting knowledge. Alright, let's move on to the African lion. These beasts mainly live in the savannas and grasslands in sub-Saharan Africa and hunt and eat zebras, buffalo, wildebeests, and antelope. However, lionesses usually do most of the hunting, but males also join in on big hunts. A typical male African lion can grow between 3.5 to 4 feet tall at the shoulder and weighs in between 380 to 450 pounds. So, both of these creatures would be around the same weight and size, but the lion would have a...
Jeg ved ikke, ja, så finder ud af det den anden dag. Det var mere spændende. Men jeg stopper til dem, så det går nok. Mange bangers. Det er svært at vælge. Train Anakin. Yeah.
What if Yoda trained Anakin? In The Phantom Menace, we witnessed Qui-Gon's death and how he made Obi-Wan promise to train Anakin in the ways of the Force. For the next 13 years, he taught him everything he knew, and although the two became almost like brothers, Anakin eventually fell to the dark side and became Darth Vader. But what if things were different? What if Yoda was the one to train Anakin instead of Obi-Wan? How different would things have been if he took it upon himself to train Anakin on his own? Well, in this alternate timeline, that's exactly what we'll be diving into, so let's get right into it. Our story begins just days after Qui-Gon's death, where Obi-Wan went to go speak with Grandmaster Yoda. He explained to Yoda what happened on Naboo, but even more than that, he also wanted to speak to him about the future of Anakin Skywalker. Back on Naboo, Qui-Gon made him promise to train Anakin in the ways of the Force, and so Obi-Wan would follow his master's dying wish no matter what. However, this is where our story is different from the original. As Obi-Wan explained to Yoda that he would be the one to train Anakin, Yoda spoke up.
confer on you the level of Jedi Knight, the Council does. But agree with your taking this boy as your Padawan learner, I do not.
Qui-Gon believed in him.
The chosen one the boy may be. Nevertheless, grave danger I fear in his training.
Master Yoda, I gave Qui-Gon my word. I will train Anakin.
No, too young and inexperienced you are, Obi-Wan. Much darkness I sense in the boy. If young Skywalker is to be a Jedi, a master is needed with more experience.
But Master, if not me, who is to train him?
Train young Skywalker I will. A Jedi he will be.
Later that night, Qui-Gon's funeral was held, and it was there where Obi-Wan informed Anakin that he would be trained as a Jedi, but under Yoda's teachings. Once Anakin heard this, he felt a mix of different emotions. Although he was excited to be a Jedi, he was scared, nervous, and even confused, since just a few days ago, Yoda told him that he was too old to be trained. Now he's training him himself? This made Anakin nervous. Despite his excitement to be trained by the Jedi Grand Master himself, he wished that Qui-Gon was still around. He would know what to do in this situation. After the funeral, everyone departed back to Coruscant, but because Anakin was so nervous, he still hadn't spoken to his new master yet. However, as they arrived on the planet, he saw Yoda walking by himself with his cane. So, Anakin finally went up to him.
Master Yoda, sir?
Yes, young Skywalker?
Master Obi-Wan told me that you'll be my new master, sir. I just wanted to say thank you, sir.
Thank me, you do not need to, young Skywalker. Much darkness I sense in you, but with the right training, a great Jedi you might be.
I'll do whatever it takes, sir.
Call me sir, you do not need to. See you tomorrow, I shall. And once the morning arrives, our training, we will begin.
13 years had passed since Yoda took Anakin on as his Padawan, and since then, Anakin had become a much different Jedi than anybody ever expected. Not only did he wield a green lightsaber just like his master, but over the years he had become much wiser, more patient, and more connected to the Force had he originally gone with Obi-Wan. This shocked Yoda, because when he first met Anakin, he thought he was going to be a danger to the Jedi Order. But over time, Anakin proved both him and the Jedi Council wrong. For so long, the Order rejected the idea of training students at a late age, since they could easily form attachments to others outside the walls of the temple. However, under Yoda's training, he was able to teach Anakin how to let go. Unfortunately though, it wasn't always such a smooth path for the two of them. Throughout the first few months of their training, they experienced a lot of road bumps together and bumped heads a lot. For months, Anakin thought Yoda's training was boring, mainly because a lot of it revolved around studying and learning the history of the Jedi. As a young kid, all he wanted to do was train with a lightsaber, and because he wasn't doing any of that, he started to doubt Yoda's abilities as a master. He thought to himself that maybe Yoda was too old to be a teacher, and that he wasn't as powerful as everyone said he was. However, let's just say, Anakin's opinion about Yoda quickly changed. As he got older, the two started doing more combat and lightsaber training, and well, Anakin quickly learned why he was the Grand Master of the Order. He was impressed since Yoda did such a good job at hiding his abilities by using a cane and seeming so old and frail, but in reality he was so powerful. So from there, Anakin did whatever he could to learn the best, and over time, he became enthusiastic about learning under Yoda. However, there was one problem. During their early years together, Anakin missed his mother. The thought of being away from her hurt him inside, so Yoda had to teach him that this was a natural part of life and that if he really wanted to become a Jedi, these sacrifices were necessary. As a 9-year-old boy, this was really hard for Anakin to hear, but over time he understood, and over the years, he began to let go of the attachment to his mother. However, to make sure that his mother was still safe, Yoda did something in secret that he never told Anakin. Just 1 year after Anakin joined the Jedi Order, Yoda took it upon himself to visit Tatooine alone. When he arrived, he saw that Anakin's mother was with a new family called the Lars family, and while they seemed like good people, Yoda did something out of his own will. Since he had good relations with the Tusken Raiders, he communicated with them and did whatever he could to make sure that she was safe and protected. That way no harm would ever come her way. Although Anakin never found out that he did this, Yoda felt that it was the right thing to do. However, despite Anakin being able to let go of his attachment to his mother, there was one person he couldn't control his emotions around: Padme Amidala. Ever since he was a boy, he always had strong feelings for her, and although Yoda trained him well, Anakin was never able to shake these feelings no matter how hard he tried. So, just as we saw in the films, Anakin did end up marrying Padme and kept his relationship with her a secret, but little did he know, Yoda always knew about it. With all the time that he spent with his Padawan, he knew him far too well. He saw how much his eyes lit up anytime her name was mentioned, and how he acted like a whole different person anytime he was around her. It was unfortunate, because as Anakin grew older as a Jedi Knight, Yoda thought that he was ready for his next step as a master, but he just couldn't offer him that rank yet. As long as he kept that relationship with Senator Amidala, he just couldn't grant him that. If Anakin was exposed for a secret relationship with the Senator, it would mean he would be banned from the Jedi Order, and since the Republic needed Anakin right now, especially during the Clone Wars, he couldn't distract him from the task at hand. Eventually, Yoda would confront him about his relationship, but now wasn't that time. That conversation would happen when the war was over. Whatever happens when the Clone Wars is over is up to the will of the Force, but for now, they had to win, and now with it coming to a close, victory seemed near for the Jedi. However, there was one issue. Anakin had nightmares. Nightmares of losing his wife, Padme. Just earlier, Padme revealed to Anakin that she was pregnant, and now he had visions that she would die in childbirth. Although this worried Anakin a bit, he tried to remember Yoda's teachings and to not focus on his anxieties. Luckily, because of Yoda's training, these visions didn't affect him too much, but it was still worth speaking to him about. So the next morning, Anakin went to go speak with Yoda.
Premonitions. Premonitions. These visions you have.
They're of pain, suffering, death.
Yourself you speak of? Or someone you know?
Someone.
At that moment, Yoda knew exactly who this was about. It was about Padme. However, Yoda kept quiet. Now wasn't the time to confront young Skywalker about it.
Remember your teachings, you must, Anakin.
I know, Master Yoda. I'm not focusing too much on them, as I always remember what you taught me. Fear is the path to the dark side. I just wanted to use this chance to be open with you, I guess.
Although he tried his best not to show it, Yoda started laughing inside. Throughout over 850 years of living, he's seen a lot of Jedi grow up, but never has he met somebody as unusual as Anakin. He found it hilarious that Anakin would be open with him about this, but not about his relationship. However, Yoda did his best to keep a straight face.
Good, young Skywalker. Learned a lot, you have.
Thank you, Master. Master Yoda, there was one more thing I wanted to speak with you about.
Yes?
These visions of death. They've got me thinking. Do you ever miss Master Qui-Gon?
A great master he was. But rejoice I have for him for transforming into the Force. Mourn him I do not. Miss him I do not. Attachments lead to jealousy. The shadow of greed, that is.
I understand. Anyways, it looks like the war is almost over. Hopefully we can capture General Grievous soon. And if he leads us to Dooku, well then this can all be over sooner than we expect.
Patience we must have, young Skywalker. A growing darkness I sense. Grave care we must take.
Later that day, a Jedi Council meeting was held, but since Anakin wasn't a part of the council yet, he wasn't invited to the meeting. However, he was okay with this. Because of Yoda's teachings, he was able to master his emotions and learn patience, so he was okay with not being on the council yet. He knew that as long as he worked hard and consistently proved his loyalty to the Jedi Order, his time would come. But for now, he had to remain patient. So, as the council meeting came to a close, every member left the room except for Yoda. He wanted to speak to Anakin alone. So he called Anakin into the room, and as he did, he said,
Young Skywalker, sent to Kashyyyk I am.
You're going to Kashyyyk?
Help they need, and good relations with the Wookiees I have.
Am I coming along with you? Normally we go on missions together, right?
This time, alone I will go, young Skywalker. Stay here on Coruscant you must.
I understand, Master.
Yoda nodded his head.
Master, one last thing.
Yes?
This growing darkness you spoke about earlier. I can't describe it, but I sense it too. I can't wrap my finger around it, though.
Patience you must have, young Skywalker. Soon the answers will come.
Master, if for some reason I'm in trouble while I stay behind here on Coruscant, can I contact you?
Fear not. Focus on the present you must. Not the future. But if an emergency you are in, contact me, you may.
I understand. Thank you, Master.
Yoda nodded, and from there, the two then went their separate ways. Over the next day, Anakin stayed on Coruscant, but his nightmares returned. Although Padme told him not to worry so much about them, Anakin couldn't help himself. For some reason, they felt real. This surprised him, because usually he was good at controlling his emotions, just like Yoda taught him to. But he's never experienced continuous nightmares like this before. So, Anakin needed to speak to somebody, but there was one problem. Since his master was gone on Kashyyyk, he felt there was nobody else to speak to. He needed somebody wise to help him, somebody who had experience. Then it hit him. Chancellor Palpatine. Over the past decade, he became somewhat close to the Chancellor, but not heavily. Whenever he had issues, he would usually just go to Master Yoda about it since he was so wise. But now with Yoda gone, he felt like maybe it would be good to speak with the Chancellor about it instead. So as Anakin entered Palpatine's office, he spoke with him. He told him he had nightmares of losing someone close to him, and to his surprise, the Chancellor was so supportive. Although Anakin didn't tell Palpatine who these nightmares were about, Palpatine was still so helpful, and this surprised Anakin. For all these years, Palpatine and Anakin were never that close, but in that moment, it was almost as if Palpatine understood his struggles so much. To him, it felt nice having somebody around that was so patient with him and so understanding. In a way, it reminded him of his own master, Yoda. So, as the two spoke, Palpatine had something to say about the situation.
My boy, I can only imagine what it's like having nightmares of losing someone close to you.
I know. It's usually rare that I let something like this control my thoughts, but it's so hard to describe. They feel real.
Well, I think it is important that you embrace your emotions, Anakin. For so long, the Jedi have been taught to hide their emotions, and, well, look where that led Master Yoda's last apprentice, am I right?
Dooku left voluntarily. That was not because of Master Yoda.
I wouldn't be so sure.
Master Yoda is a great master. He's wise, he's intelligent, and he always looks out for me.
Ah, yes, and why did he not take you with him to Kashyyyk, then?
That was the Jedi Council's decision, not his.
But he is the Jedi Grand Master, is he not?
Anakin paused. What was his deal, he thought to himself? At first, the Chancellor was being helpful, but now it was almost as if he was acting totally different. Anakin felt strange inside.
My boy, have you ever heard the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
No.
I thought not. It's not a story the Jedi would tell you. It's a Sith legend.
From there, Palpatine explained the story of Darth Plagueis and how he was a Dark Lord of the Sith who was able to save the ones he cared about from dying. However, to Palpatine's surprise, Anakin was unfazed by this story. Within seconds, Anakin sensed something dark, something sinister. As the Chancellor spoke these words, Anakin felt a dark presence about him, which was something he never felt while around him until now. Then it hit him. He was a Sith Lord.
You're the Sith Lord.
I know what's been troubling you. Listen to me. Don't continue to be a pawn to the Jedi Council. You're far more powerful than any of them, including your own master. But you won't ever know, won't you? Just like how you were a slave on Tatooine, you're now a slave to the Jedi.
Enough. I'm going to turn you over to the Jedi Council.
Of course you should. But can you really trust them? You're the most powerful of all the Jedi, Anakin, and they won't even make you a Jedi Master. What does that say about them?
Your words mean nothing, Sith Lord. I will quickly discover the truth of all this.
You have great wisdom, Anakin. Know the power of the dark side. The power to save Padme.
As Anakin left the Chancellor's office, he went deep in thought. He started thinking about what Palpatine said and how there was a way he could save Padme from death. However, then he came to his senses. He couldn't trust him. It's just like what Master Yoda would always tell him. The Sith are never to be trusted. Lies and deceit are what they're about. So he quickly erased these thoughts and told himself that now he had to act immediately. With the Chancellor being revealed to be the Sith Lord, he needed to take action. So Anakin did the first thing that came to mind, and that was to contact Master Yoda.
Yes, young Skywalker.
Master Yoda, I just learned a horrifying truth. Chancellor Palpatine is the Sith Lord we've been looking for.
Yoda took a pause.
Sure of this, are you?
Yes, he knows the ways of the Force, and he's been trained to use the dark side.
Terrible this is. Young Skywalker, come back soon enough. I cannot. In grave danger the Wookiees are.
Master Yoda, I understand you're on your own mission, but this could be the key to ending the war. The Chancellor is very powerful. If we are to defeat him, we need you.
Agree with you, I am. Go with Master Windu, you must. Be there soon. I will.
From there, Anakin went to go speak to Master Windu, and it was there where he broke the news to him. Just as we saw in the film, Windu was shocked, so he ordered Anakin to wait in the council chambers until he returned. But in this timeline, Anakin listened. For so long, he's looked up to Master Windu, and so disobeying him would be the last thing he would want to do. So, Anakin listened and went to go wait in the chambers while Mace Windu, Kit Fisto, Saesee Tiin, and Agent Kolar went to confront the Chancellor. As time passed, Anakin kept waiting and waiting, but there was still no contact from either Master Windu or Master Yoda. However, then he heard footsteps outside. Was that Master Windu? Did he defeat the Chancellor? The footsteps got closer and closer, and before Anakin knew it, the council doors then opened. It was Master Yoda.
Master Yoda, you're back.
Yoda went silent. He looked sick inside. Anakin had never seen his master like this. Was he okay?
To wait here, did Master Windu tell you?
He did. However, it's been over an hour. I thought he'd be back by now. Master Yoda, are you okay?
A great disturbance in the Force I have felt. Pain, suffering, death, I feel. Something terrible has happened. Master Windu is in pain. Terrible pain.
Then we must go rescue him ourselves, Master. We can't wait any longer.
Yoda nodded his head. From there, Anakin and Yoda rushed over to the Chancellor's office, but it was there where they witnessed the unthinkable. As they walked in, they witnessed not one, but multiple dead bodies on the floor. Kit Fisto, Saesee Tiin, Agent Kolar, and Master Windu? Master Windu is dead? No, it couldn't be. He was...
It seems you are too late, my old master.
Yoda looked up. It was Count Dooku.
Done this, have you, Dooku? Just me and my master's work of your weak, pathetic Jedi Order.
It seems you are too late, Jedi. Master Windu is dead, and the Jedi Order is minutes away from collapsing.
Not if anything to say about it, I do.
Yes. And what will you do, Master Yoda? Resurrect your dead friend? No. It is far too late for that, my little green friend. Soon the Sith will rule the galaxy once more, and young Skywalker will join me right by my side.
Yoda looked at Anakin.
Ignore him, Master. He's talking nonsense.
But am I, young Skywalker? Master Yoda wasn't there when you came to me earlier about your nightmares. Just like how he did with Darth Tyrannus. He will let you down too, young Skywalker.
Skywalker?
How does that make you feel, Master Yoda? That your former apprentice joined me because of your foolish, pathetic ways. And now, just like him, your other apprentice will be mine.
Master, ignore him. Let's end this and take them together.
Yoda nodded his head, and the two Jedi ignited their green lightsabers.
It's treason, then.
Palpatine and Dooku ignited theirs. From there, the two Jedi went head-to-head up against the two Sith. It was now the duel for the fate of the galaxy as flashes of green and red took place in the Chancellor's office. Since it was a 2v2, Anakin and Dooku quickly clashed sabers while Yoda and Palpatine also began to fight one
Den vil jeg ikke svare
another.
på. Jeg har ikke nogen
However,
holdning.
because of Yoda's training, Anakin was able to quickly overwhelm Dooku with his acrobatics and athleticism, just like Yoda taught him. As the two continued to clash, Dooku quickly realized he was no match for the young Jedi. He couldn't keep up. Anakin was just too powerful. Then before he knew it, Anakin pushed forward and out of nowhere... Cutting both of Dooku's hands off, Anakin had won the fight. Count Dooku was defeated. However, the battle was far from over. Anakin turned around, and as he did, he saw Yoda and Palpatine still clashing back and forth. Then, Dooku, who was on the ground, spoke up to him.
You make a grave mistake, boy. Do you not see how corrupt the Jedi have become? How can you possibly trust your master to protect you when he couldn't even sense the Dark Lord of the Sith hiding beneath his nose the entire time? You have an opportunity here, Skywalker. Join us. We can help you save Senator Amidala's life and show you power beyond measure.
Anakin wanted to respond, but he knew what Dooku was doing. He was stalling. Dooku wanted him to be distracted so that he wouldn't go and help. Anakin turned around. However, when he did, he witnessed the unthinkable. On the floor was Chancellor Palpatine, dead. Yoda had killed him. Anakin couldn't believe his eyes. His master had really done it. Chancellor Palpatine was really dead. As Anakin stood there, he was shocked that Yoda was able to defeat the Sith Lord already. Then he thought to himself that maybe fighting in the Chancellor's office was the best thing possible. He knew how much his master thrived in using acrobatics and leaping from wall to overwhelm his enemies, so it must have worked well against Darth Sidious. If they were fighting anywhere else, well, it could be that Yoda could have possibly lost that fight, so Anakin was grateful. As Palpatine's dead body then dropped to the ground, Dooku also looked over as he sat on his knees. He was also horrified. Should he do the same? Should he kill Dooku right there and then? However, before he could keep thinking, Yoda spoke up.
Skywalker, no.
Yoda was struggling to speak. He looked injured. Anakin had never seen his master so weak. The fight really must have taken it out of him.
But Master, he's a Sith Lord. He's not to be trusted.
Agreed with you I am, but need him, we will.
Anakin knew better than to ask any questions. Whatever reason Yoda wanted to keep him alive for, it must be important. Entire time and how he organized a future contingency plan called Order 66. When the Senate leaders heard this, they were shocked. They never expected any of this, let alone coming from Dooku himself. Because of Dooku coming clean, the Jedi's image was protected, and instead of him receiving a death sentence, he was sent to life in prison. However, not just any prison. Dooku was locked below into the hidden rooms beneath the Jedi Temple, and sadly for him, he was never to be seen ever again. Not only that, but over these 2 days, Anakin's nightmares were gone. If it weren't for Yoda's teachings, he might have been manipulated by Palpatine's promises to save Padme, but luckily he knew better than that. With his nightmares now gone, he had all the confidence in the world that she would be okay, and their child would be safe. So he did exactly what Yoda taught him, and that was to focus his mind on the present, never the future. Now 2 days later, a funeral was held to honor Master Windu and the 3 other Jedi Masters that died in their fight against Palpatine. Although many Jedi missed the great man